How's it going, everyone? Hopefully doing well. Welcome to the heavy tank mission guide for the 260. Heavy tank number 1. We have to destroy 5 enemy vehicles and cause 4000 HP to enemy vehicles if you want to do it with honors. Again, I'm going to mention this. You do not have to do any of these missions with honors unless you really want the reward, apart from level 15 if you would like to collect the skip missions. So for all intents and purposes, just from level 1 to level 14 for the missions, you do not need to complete them with honors. Only level 15 is the ones that you really need to kind of complete, because then you can skip other missions that you were struggling on, for example. So destroy 5 enemy vehicles. Just play your heavy tanks, enjoy it, and you'll get that eventually. This one is pretty much the same as number 1, because destroy 4 enemy vehicles from a distance of 100 meters or less. Most of the time, you're going to be brawling. You probably have to wait for the correct map. You know, if you get onto Himmelsdorf or something like that, or even, what's the map called? Safe Haven, you could do this just by being a little bit more aggressive. Again, just play a tank that you enjoy and you will get this done eventually. Now, for this one, where you have to destroy 6 enemy vehicles of 3 different types, it is a little bit annoying because you have to get a top gun, but you also have to destroy, obviously, let's say that you destroy another heavy tank, and then you have to go and get another 2 enemy vehicles that are different types. And what types mean is classes. So you need to go and destroy a SPG, a medium tank, a tank destroyer, or a light tank, which can be done if you get lucky and kill the light tank early on. But again, I wouldn't worry about this mission too much. It's one of these missions where it's kind of pointless tryharding it, because eventually you will get into a situation where you've, say, killed 3 enemy heavy tanks, and then you just need to go and kill another 3 enemy vehicles, and hopefully you can pick up either a tank destroyer or, you know, a different type of class. Now, for heavy tank number 4, this one is a bit of a pain, because you need to destroy internal modules or crew members totaling at least 6 modules or crew members. And obviously you need to be in a heavy tank, which is a big pain. So you're going to need something that has a very good damage gun that has good module damage. You could do this in a 60 TP. You could do this in a, you could do it in a Type 5 heavy with HE, but don't do that. But remember, you don't have to do this at tier 10. You can do it in a KV2. You could do it in an OI. And you would probably end up doing that in no time at all. So KV2, OI, even an ONI with the derp gun, maybe. Probably not, but KV2 and OI, I'd definitely try. And now this one is very simple, okay? Yes, if you are not a very good player, you will struggle to do 4000 damage. However, if you're playing one of your favorite tanks, this shouldn't be too much of an issue. 4000 damage within your view range of the vehicle. So if you're in a heavy tank, which you will be, this is pretty much always going to be within your own view range. Do 4000 damage to heavy tanks? Not that hard. I would recommend you go tier 10 to do this, because it is not easy to do 4000 damage at tier 6, for example. So this shouldn't be too bad. Again, it is one of those missions where you just set it, forget it, and then eventually it'll just be done when you have a good game. But it shouldn't be too much of a problem. Again, with these missions, it's just playing the game. There is no set tank. I can't go and tell you, for example, oh, you should go and choose this tank to do these missions in. If you're going to be destroying 4 enemy heavy tanks or medium tanks, this is pretty easy to do. You destroy 3 enemy heavy tanks on the heavy tank flank and then go and kill 1 more medium tank. It's not difficult. Just play a tank you enjoy is the main takeaway from this, because a lot of these missions, they're just RNG based, right? Whether or not this is going to happen. And if you just play a tank that you enjoy, you're having more fun in the game, and you don't need to worry about the mission, because it will just get completed eventually anyway. So enjoy the game. Don't stress too much about these missions, especially these ones where, you know, I don't really have any good advice for you, because they are just RNG based. For heavy tank number 7, I hate this mission. You have so many things that you need to do it is pathetic. Capture the base or score defensive points. Now, you don't need to have any set amount of points to do this, but the problem is that you either need to participate in a base capture, a successful base capture, mind you, even if you were just sat in there for 1 point, it is still going to be enough, or shoot an enemy that is going to be capturing your base or a neutral base. Encounter is probably the best thing to do this on, because if an enemy goes into the base and you shoot it, that is that first bit done instantly. So encounter is very, very useful to try and do this. So make sure that you have encounter turn on. By doing so, you go into your settings, and if you just scroll down to over here, you'll see random battle settings, and you can tick encounter battles, and then obviously click apply and move on with your life. I don't have it on because I don't really like encounter or assault or any, grand battles or anything like that. I just like the standard game modes, and I don't really enjoy that. But for missions, they are very, very useful, especially for this mission. Now, the other problem is that in all of this, you need to cause 4,000 damage on top of resetting the base. Say you get into a perfect game, right? You're on encounter, and you can go and reset the base. You've done the first bit. You now need to do 4,000 damage, okay? And then win the game. And this is all just to complete the primary condition. Oh, I hate this mission so much. Obviously, I would advise you go up to either tier 9, tier 10, and you're going to have to turn on encounter if you want to do this a little bit easier. And you're going to want to be playing a tank that you do actually enjoy playing, because you're going to pull your hair out trying to do this mission. For heavy tank number 8, cause 3,000 damage to heavy tanks. I mean, that's pretty easy to do. Go to tier 9, go to tier 10. You'll get this done in no time at all. For heavy tank number 9, another mission which is actually very, very dumb. Destroy an enemy vehicle that is 1 tier higher than you by ramming. Meaning it is impossible to do heavy tank number 9 with a tier 10 vehicle. So everyone that loves playing tier 10, you will not be able to ever do this mission at tier 10. Now, what I'd recommend you do is pick something that is quite heavy but has a decent power to weight still. Because that way, if you do get into a situation where you could ram someone that is, a tier 10 or whatnot, then you could do. The AMX M4 M51 is pretty much exactly the same weight, nearly, as the tier 10, and has decent power to weight. As you can see, it is a 73-ton tank, and it goes at 40 kilometers an hour, so it's pretty nice for that. Even the T29 at tier 7 is a 66-ton tank. It doesn't go as fast, but you could stick on a turbo and then you're good to go. And considering that it is tier 7, you are going to meet, obviously, tier 8s and tier 9s. So hopefully you just find a little squishy medium tank. Also, the M6 at tier 6 is weighing in at 58 tons. Yep, you could ram quite a few things in that. However, not very fast. Stick a turbo on it, though, as I said, with the T29. This actually gets better power to weight than the T29 does, so you could put a turbo on that and you're good. And the problem is the rest of them, they're just a bit too slow to be able to do anything. You could end up doing this mission, which I think I managed to do this mission, by actually having someone try to ram you and then kill themselves. Yeah, this mission's horrible. It really is. Try one of those tanks that I mentioned, see how you go. If you have any suggestions for tanks to do this in, then let me know in the comments down below, and you can help out others as well. Heavy tank number 10, back to some nice easy missions. Again, favorite tank, do a lot of damage. Hopefully you're top player by damage caused, and you've done this mission. Exactly the same as heavy tank number 10. 4,000 damage to many vehicles and survive. Just make sure that you don't have any injured crew members or damaged modules. So what I'd recommend is that you get, for this mission in particular, if you can afford it, large repair kit and large med kit, so that when you are exiting the battle, you don't have to worry about those internal modules. Tracks, don't worry about them. They're on the outside. So if your tracks are damaged, not a problem. It's only internal modules, so fuel tanks, engine, stuff like that. And for heavy tank number 12, probably the worst mission in the game, actually. have a total damage blocked of equal or exceeding 3 times the hit points of your vehicle, and cause 3,000 damage. Now, if you've ever looked up this mission, everyone will tell you pretty much that the VK at tier 8 is a pretty solid choice, and it is. This tank is a very solid choice to try and do this mission in, because the cupola is about 220 to 250 millimeters thick or something like that. It's very troll, this cupola, and the armor is just very, very strong. Now, be warned, this is not a mouse. So if you try and angle the turret to try and block some shots, you will actually make this bit here a lot easier to pen. As you can see, the turret actually bows inwards towards the gun, so watch out for that. Also, the cheeks are weak-ish. Heat rounds and stuff like that will go straight through your cheeks and straight through your cupola, no issues, so keep that in mind. And then obviously the lower plate. However, if you can side scrape and try and get some bounces, it will work wonders. The problem with this mission is that everybody nowadays just fires gold and goes straight through armor. There are hardly any types of tanks that you can actually reliably block damage in this game. And the problem is that you cannot go up to higher tier, because you might just be thinking to yourself, okay, I'll just pick something that has stupidly strong turret armor, go hold down, they'll bounce, easy game. No, because this is 1,700 hit points. You need to do 3 times or greater blocked damage than your hit points, meaning that you will have to block 5,100 hit points in this tank. Obviously, the mouse having 3,000 hit points means that you're going to need to be blocking 9,000 damage, which is not going to happen in the mouse. And the other thing that is very annoying, actually, about this mission is that field mods increase the HP of heavy tanks, meaning that it is going to be even more blocking damage that you are going to be needing, because it doesn't just go from the base, it goes from whatever hit points you currently have. So you cannot use hardening on this, because otherwise that's another, 900 hit points in the case of the mouse that you would need to block. And the real big problem with the field mods is that you cannot go back. For example, if I wanted to go back on the Chieftain, there's nothing I can do. I have a flat out 3% bonus to my hit points, and there's nothing I can do about that. Even if I took off every single one of my things, I have a 3% bonus. Now, of course, you can go down to tier 6 to try and do this. But I mean, what really is there at tier 6? Like, there's an OI that you could choose. The OI is not really going to be doing too much. That's still 3,000 hit points you need to block. Especially considering that this is a lower tier vehicle, and not everyone is going to have very, very good alpha damage. So you're going to be blocking like 110 at a time, which is, well, going to take a long time to get 3,000. So I do think that tier 8 is the sweet spot, and I do think the VK is the sweet spot. Yeah, there's not really too many other tanks that you could realistically do this in. It is quite possible you could do it in an ISM, and that actually has less hit points. However, the ISM, it's not as well armored, let's say, and you're going to need to get into a very, very good matchup to be able to block all that damage. Although it is only 4,500 that you would need to block, and as long as you don't upgrade the field mods, that's the only amount you would need to block. So it's possible to do it in the ISM. When trying to do these blocking missions, one thing that I will say is, don't shoot to kill people unless you really need to. Because remember, you do need to do 3,000 damage, but you also need to block all this damage. So actually killing the enemies that are shooting you and bouncing is not a good thing. So hopefully that helps you out a little bit. One thing that I will say, if you can, do this with honors and you'll never have to do this mission again. Destroy 3 enemy vehicles within the first 4 minutes of the battle. I'm not joking when I say this. Most battles are done in under 4 minutes nearly. So you should be able to do this no problem. And destroy 5 vehicles of 3 different types. We've already seen this one. Ah, yes. The destroy 6 enemy vehicles of 3 different types. Wonderful. Thank you, Wargaming. Well, I mean, if you can do Heavy Tank 3, then you can do Heavy Tank 14. And finally, for Heavy Tank number 15, you need to cause, receive, and block a total of 14,000 HP. This is not as hard as you might first think, because remember, your hit points go into account for this. So as long as you are playing a tank that you can do a lot of damage in, and I would actually recommend you do like the AMX M454 at the moment, because that thing is amazing. It really is actually so good for just farming damage. You could easily get this mission done. And you need to cause 25% of total damage that is done by your team and win to do this with honors. So the secret to this mission really is obviously high tier, and you need to pick a tank that has good enough DPM and good enough alpha to combine those two. And you will easily be able to do this, because remember, as long as you're using HP boost on your tank, that is extra health that goes towards this mission if you do die. And also anything you block counts towards it. It is 14,000 HP for everything. It doesn't count scouting or spotting or stuff like that, or assistance damage, but caused and received and also block, you should eventually be able to do this. It is one of those missions where you just kind of, you know, set it and forget it, like with all the 15 missions, because eventually it does get done, and it's best not to try and actually do the mission, because it actually ends up being worse for your kind of like mentality trying to do it. So pick a tank that you are competent in. If you're actually trying to get better at the game, this one is actually pretty easy to do, because if you're trying to get more damage on average in a certain tank and trying to increase your skill in that tank, this will eventually just get done when you have a very, very good game. So set it, forget it, and then one day you'll exit the battle and it will say Heavy Tank 15 is done. Hopefully you can do it with honors. If not, then you know it's not the end of the world. But yeah, if you can do it with honors, then do it. So hopefully this was helpful to you. Even if you're not on the 260, all of these missions are obviously the same. The T55A is just obviously less amount than the 260, but hopefully you can get your 260 now, or at least do the heavy tank missions for them. So let me know if this was helpful down below. If you did enjoy, you know what to do. And I'll see you all in the next video.